A former Baptist Health doctor who was accused of using drugs because he touched his nose a lot while seeing a patient wins his case against the hospital at the Kentucky Supreme Court. I want to thank you for joining us here for Wave News at 5. I'm Brian Schlonsky.
And I'm Myra Ansari. Dr. John Farmer filed a lawsuit against the hospital in 2019 claiming a series of missteps investigating a patient's complaint has forever impacted his ability to practice.
As Wave News troubleshooter Alina Noakes tells us, Dr. Farmer says that this accusation was completely false.
Yeah, Dr. Farmer has maintained that he has never been impaired by drugs or alcohol while practicing medicine. And this case has stretched on nearly 7 years. He won his jury trial for breach of contract in 2023, awarding him $3.5 million. And today, the state's high court reversed a lower court decision that restored that multi-million-dollar award for a case they say has left Dr. Farmer with a proverbial scarlet letter.
In a 59-page opinion, the Kentucky Supreme Court made the final call on a case that started with a complaint a doctor rubbed his nose a lot. That was Dr. John Farmer, reported by a patient's mother on November 4th, 2019, while in residency at Baptist Health Madisonville. The patient's mom believed he was on something.
Those kinds of false allegations are scary and can be damaging to anyone who cares about their reputation. But they're especially damaging to professionals, medical professionals like Dr. Farmer, who have lives in their hands every day.
Dr. Farmer's attorneys maintain from trial to the state's high court, the complaint was never actually investigated. The doctor was not tested for drug or alcohol use the day the complaint was made or the day after. In fact, multiple doctors told his supervisor they did not believe Dr. Farmer had been impaired. Instead of testing him, hospital leadership told him he couldn't see patients until he was tested and treated by the Kentucky Physicians Health Foundation, a decision the high court says violated the hospital's own policy. Dr. Farmer said he was given no choice. The hospital disagreed. From the foundation, Dr. Farmer received a blood test that marked his alcohol metabolic marker as very high. But two things stick out here. The court says this test doesn't prove impairment on the day of the complaint, and it tests for alcohol. The court questioned why that would matter when other doctors repeatedly testified their concern was never about alcohol. It concludes the hospital never proved impairment and never provided a reason why they didn't drug test the doctor. But the results of that blood test became a part of Dr. Farmer's permanent record, informing every future employer he was reported for impairment on the job.
It does not matter what this court does or what any court does. That is there forever.
In a majority opinion, the judges conclude a system meant to weed out the bad doctors has served to brand Dr. Farmer with a proverbial scarlet letter. He'll be awarded more than $3 million in damages with interest.
Now, 3 judges wrote a dissenting opinion and feel this ruling is bad for patient safety.
So, Alina, why did those 3 judges split from the majority?
Well, they don't believe this is Baptist's fault. They actually say, aside from them maybe not handling it according to their own policy, they say the test and treatment after the fact were evidence enough of a problem. They think this is going to have a chilling effect. And Baptist Health agrees. They tell me that because of this opinion, hospitals and physicians who have concerns about potential physician impairment may no longer have the protection of immunity for reporting those concerns.